Good afternoon. My name is Melody Beach. Welcome to Aarp, and the topic this week is about Social Security and how it's going to affect us going forward. I am a volunteer for Aarp. I've been volunteering for them for several years, and I'm part of the Speakers Bureau. We go around the Commonwealth and we actually deliver numerous presentations. This is just one of them. And as we discussed before, this is about Social Security benefits. So if you would silence your phones and just be cognizant of everyone that's in the room so that we can have an open dialogue or conversation, that would be great. Let's get started. So today's overview is what is Social Security? We're really going to be covering what it is, full and early delayed benefits, Social Security and work, family benefits, and the future of Social Security. So Aarp created the workshop because we're committed to helping you understand the ins and outs of the benefits of Social Security. In this session, we are going to cover those, but I do want to make sure you understand that there is a disclaimer here. I am not an expert. I am not an expert. Yep. I am here as an educational purposes. I'm here just to deliver the presentation and the information that's been gathered. So that's why we have this disclaimer in there. I just want people to be aware of that. I just pointed out. So Social Security was created in 1935 in the aftermath of the stock market in 1929, the crash and the Great Depression. It is based on the concept of social insurance, which is emphasized as a government role in protecting the economic security of its citizens. Social insurance means that all people contribute to something that's in common for the good. We share all the risks and we earn all the benefits. Social Security ensures that income continues if a worker retires or becomes disabled. And an income continues for survivors in the event of a worker's death. Social Security is funded by us, as we all know, because it comes out of our checks every week. Current workers and their employers pay into the Social Security benefit through payroll deductions. There are different benefit programs with different eligibility rules. All right, but Social Security includes retirement, survivors, disability benefits, and our focus today will be on the retirement benefits portion, and we'll touch on survivor benefits just briefly. So it is a complicated process, and it's a complicated benefit. So I just want to say that. However, Social Security is intended to be a foundation or safety net for retirees. we were all putting into it. That's our hope. It was never intended to be the only source of income for workers in retirement, but many of us are using it for that source. Now, let's think about this, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit. We also know that we can't just rely on Social Security these days. Even though we put into it, and we've been putting into it for a long time, we're realizing that based on the statistics and based on what's going on, it may not be there fully as we expected, so we have to supplement it, all right? But that aside, many of us are using it for most or all of their income. 61% of people over the age of 65 rely on Social Security for more than half of their income, and 1/3 rely on Social Security for all of their income. So again, think about those stats. 1/3 for solely relying on it for all of their income, and 61 are using it as part of their income. So the more people that get into it, the less money there's going to be eventually. So let's take a closer look at Social Security retirement benefits, the benefits you've earned through your many years of work that will provide you and possibly your family with guaranteed benefits for life. Get a little quiz here, okay? So before we move on, let's take a quick quiz. Raise your hand if you think, how much do you think the average Social Security retirement benefit is? So raise your hand if you think it's A, $987. How about B, $1,126? Or how many of you think it's C, $1,360? Go ahead. What do you think it is?
I think it's 1360.
$1,360?
B,
You-
11,
All right, we got a challenge here. So if you chose 1360, ding, 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 you're correct. Okay? So 1360 is the average monthly Social Security retirement benefit. That's $16,320 a year. So that's not that much if you think about it. All right? So how many of us can survive on that? All right? And that source, just so you know, is out of the SSA, Social Security Administration.gov, news, press, facts. Okay? All right. So how do you qualify for Social Security benefits? All right. You or your spouse must have worked at least 10 years and paid Social Security taxes, which are listed as FICA on your pay stubs, if you go back and look. To be eligible for retirement benefits under Social Security, you would have had to have been putting money into that throughout that time. FICA stands for Federal Insurance Contributions Act, and it's a tax paid by employees and employers that fund Social Security and Medicare. Did you know that? You did? Did you know that? Okay. Employers and workers each pay a tax of 7.65%, minus 6.2%, of which, 6.2% of that number is Social Security, and 1.45% is Medicare. In 2017, the income cap was $127,200. If your salary is more than that amount, you will pay FICA only on the $127,200. So, full retirement age. Well, we know that that's going up, don't we? Right? So when is your full retirement age? This is an important date because it will determine when you will receive your full benefits, as we all know and all are expecting when we get there. The full retirement age is gradually increasing to 67. You can check your year of birth in the columns up here on the screen. The right column tells you your full retirement age. For example, if you were born in 56, your full retirement age will be 66 and 4 months. Yeah, I get a long ways. So anyway, that gives you an idea when you can. Are there any questions about that? No. All right, so when can you claim your benefits? All right, you can receive your full benefits at your normal or full retirement age, of which is based on your birth year, which we just determined in the slide before. If you get 100, at that time you get 100% of your benefit at the normal or full retirement age. However, if you choose to go earlier, which you can, they will reduce that amount. So you can choose to receive your benefit as early as 62, but your benefit will be permanently reduced to 25%. So your benefit will be reduced up to 25% if you go at 62. All right? It will be delayed if your full retirement age is 66, or as much as 30% if your age retirement is 67. If I want me to go through that again, I will, because I feel like I made that kind of confusing. So let me repeat that. You can choose to receive your benefit as early as 62 if you wish, but your benefit will be permanently reduced as showed on the slide. If you claim at 62, your benefit will be reduced up to 25% of your full retirement if your retirement age was 66, okay? As much as 30% if your full retirement was 67. So it gets a higher percentage reduced, taken out of it, the higher your actual retirement age was supposed to be. Your monthly benefits will be reduced for the rest of your life. It doesn't fluctuate, so it'll be permanently reduced as long as your survivors claim them. So it's important to consider how this decision will impact your family when you actually decide that you want to take your Social Security at your retirement age. So factoring that in for your survivors is what they're asking you to do. You also can delay your benefit as noted in that third bullet. All right, you can delay it. This increases your benefit up to 8% a year up to the age of 70 if you can wait. So that's a good point to make. So if you don't necessarily have to take it, you got other benefits that you're actually been putting into for retirement. You can delay your Social Security as opposed to taking it early, which will give you more money at that time, which is great. All right, so if you can do it, I say do it. However, okay, it does pay to wait, and we're going to talk about that as we sort of mentioned, right? So here's a chart that shows how claiming age can impact your benefit. In this example, the person's full benefit is $1,000 per month at their full retirement age of 66. Shown on the yellow bars, right here. Any benefit received earlier, shown in red, okay, are reduced benefits. And that start of the age of 66 shown. So if they decide to take it earlier, this is their reductions in their amounts. If they decide to delay it, as shown here, it'll increase it by 320. So, for some that can do it, that's a great incentive to see that visual chart, right? So who wouldn't want to have more than than they were supposed to get as opposed to less? So the decision now is really when to retire, right? So this is a discussion that you need to have. You need things to think about in these group sessions that I would want to have, and we could break down into right here, is what things do you need to consider when timing for retirement? What are things that we really need to start thinking about? And with the piece of paper that's in front of you and the pen that I had placed in your spaces, we could actually have that conversation. So what do you think are things to consider when we're thinking about retirement?
How long do you think you live?
Yep, exactly.
And of course, can you afford delaying receiving some income from Social
Well, that's a good
Security?
point. So saying, can you delay waiting is a really good point to bring up. And I appreciate you saying that. Because those are things that you got to think about, because you need to know if you have enough money put away in order to be able to live, in order to delay it. That's a great point. I appreciate you saying that. Do you have something that you might want to consider?
Not yet.
Something that I might think about considering is health benefits, and the cost of that. So again, can you afford to wait? Do I have enough money put aside in numerous pots in order to cover my health? What if I got sick? What if something happened? Do I need to start? And what I mean by that is, does it impact me working? Does it impact me taking my money early or delaying it? Because my health could impact that. So for me, if I'm relying on working like a part-time job, because maybe I didn't put enough money away, and there are some people that do that. I actually run a 50-plus job seekers group, and I have a lot of people that retired and were so excited about retiring, but now, after several years, have thought about going back to work for 2 reasons. And these are the 2 reasons I hear all the time: finances and a purpose, right? So they need to socialize. So finances is that example that I was just giving you. If I didn't put enough money away in enough pots, my health might impact that, so I couldn't earn an income. So just things to think about. And I guess for other people, there may be other reasons that they may either delay or have to take their money early, as we were talking about. It could be personal. Might not be health-wise. It could be a personal situation that's occurred in their life. It could be social. It could be community. There's a number of factors that can impact that. So again, it's an opportunity to have a discussion with people, whether it's in your family, your friends, your social networks, to really kind of get ideas of what people are thinking about. So again, we're talking about when is it a good time to retire, right? So here's some bullets here. When it comes to deciding when to retire and claim your benefits, there's no right age. It's all independent, as we were just talking about. It all depends on factors that are going on in our lives. You will need to consider things such as your health, as we talked about, savings, as you mentioned, sir, all right, expenses, as I was alluding to, and how the decision can impact your family. So again, very good things to think about. While we won't tell you which is the best age to claim, Social Security can certainly help you when you're looking to make an informed decision. That's all we're trying to get at. So the amount of your monthly benefit is based on the earning or the what you earned during your lifetime when you worked or when your spouse worked, right? The Social Security Administration will look at the average of 35 years in which you earned the most money. So we got to remember, For women, that could have an impact on them dramatically. Let's think about, and no disrespect to men, but women have families, right? They're the ones that are giving birth. So typically they're the ones that may be in and out of the workforce. So it can certainly impact your Social Security if you weren't, I mean, it certainly will impact your Social Security if they're only going back on 35 years worth of your work. All right, and then they're taking an average of that. So in 2017, the maximum benefit was $2,687 for a worker retiring at full retirement age at 66, right? If you don't know how much your benefit will be, there are 3 ways to find out. So remember, this is a statistic that came out of the Social Security Administration. It's not on the slide. But if you need to find out what your Social Security amount's going to be, what I'm saying here in this slide is that you need to either go online or you need to call them to find out what your specific amount's going to be. This statistic, again, at 2017 was just saying that at that time for this worker, at that 35 age formula, that was $2,687. All right, if you don't know how much your benefit will be, here are 3 ways to find out. Go to the Social Security Administration website. You can call the Social Security Administration office with the number on the slide. And if you're if you're 60 or older, you have not yet claimed Social Security benefits, you haven't set up your Social Security account online, you automatically will receive an annual Social Security statement in the mail. It will come 3 months before your birthday each year. So again, if you are over 60 or older, 60 or older, you should be getting some sort of a benefit notice in the mail around your birthday. So think about that, keep an eye out for that, because you do want to find that out, okay? If you're not getting it in the mail, maybe it's getting lost, and that's when you might want to go online and phone them, okay? And I do remember that, just going off rail for a minute, I do remember it for myself coming in, because what they're doing is, for me, I'm still working, so they're updating my information for my amounts. So I do recollect it does come in on a regular basis, okay? So here, making an informed decision. So Aarp Social Security Benefit Calculator is a very useful tool, all right? You can find this calculator at this website at the bottom here on the slide. All right, it is something that I highly recommend people that are looking to find more information out about on their Social Security that they use. It estimates your benefit at different claims of aging. So again, you can put in different age brackets and you can find out what you could be getting at that time as well. It even shows you how much of your monthly expenses would be covered by Social Security if you put in the information. All right, the calculator offers customized guidance based on your salary, marital status, and your age. The calculator gives you personalized, easy to understand report that you can print out showing you how much money you would receive at a different claiming age. So again, it might be worthwhile to take that exercise and go on it. That's why we mentioned it. Again, it gives you a baseline when you're having that discussion with your family. How many of you have had those discussions already? I know I haven't. You have? Well, that's good. That's good. Sometimes planning ahead, we don't all plan ahead, but sometimes starting to do that and having those difficult conversations, not saying that this is a good thing to do. Anyway, yep. So now let's talk about Social Security and work. For those that are still working part-time or maybe thinking to get back into the work world, this section only applies to you if you take early Social Security benefits and continue to work. All right, it does not apply to you if you're a full retirement age or older and continue to work, okay? So the next slide will show how this will affect you. Before you claim your Social Security benefits, you should know that if you claim and continue to work, you may be subject to what's known as the Social Security earnings limit. Is anyone in the room still actually working? Are you working, sir? No? Okay. And you're working, right, ma'am? Yes, okay. So not to ask if you're, I didn't know if you fit into this. Okay. So again, thinking about this, you may be subject to that earnings limit. If you claim your benefits before your full retirement age, but continue to work, your benefits will be reduced by $1 for every $2 you earn above the earnings limit, which is, as of 2017, was $16,920. Okay, now we got to adjust that because it's changed. All right, so just think about that. They take $1 for every 2 you earn. That's crazy. All right, anyway, I'm going to keep my comments to myself. All right, so if you claim early, the earnings limit rises to $44,880 in the year you reach your full retirement age. Your benefits are reduced by $1 for every 3 you earn above the limit. There are 2 important things to keep in mind when working and claiming Social Security that most people overlook. If you wait to claim until full retirement age or later, the earnings limit won't apply to you. That's something to really think about. And 2, if you claim your benefit before your full retirement age and keep working, the benefit reduction will be returned to you in the form of higher monthly payments after you reach full retirement age. The money that is deducted from your benefit is returned to you over the course of your life after full retirement age. So it's actually, they really want you to keep working and not take your money sooner, and they're trying to let you see the benefits of doing that. Because again, they're sort of in a way penalizing you. That's the way I look at it. Does anyone else look at it that way? I do. Okay, so if you want to work, great, just don't take Social Security until you're actually ready to retire. That's the benefit of that slide. All right. So Social Security and family benefits. Okay, so let's move on to Social Security and this form of a benefit. When you start receiving Social Security benefits, some members of your family also may qualify to receive the benefit as well. So if you have a question about this, what I would recommend is that you actually go to the Social Security office, not physically, but call them or go online and talk to them about that. Because, again, you're not really sure who can collect and who can't, who might be on your records, who may not be. And you want to make sure that you actually talk to the right people, because if you we'll go to the next slide, because it's important to make sure that we know who's eligible to collect and who isn't. So look at that, ex-spouses, survivors, right? So because of some of the people in our past, right, we just want to make sure we're aware of who's on there and who's eligible so we're not shocked. And we have to, if we need to take some steps, we take some steps. Okay, I'm just going to say it like that. All right, next slide. All right, children's benefits. So within your family, each qualified child may receive a monthly payment up to 1.5% of your full retirement benefit amount. All right. It's, up to 1.5. 1/2. Am I saying it wrong? I'm sorry. 1/2. 1/2 of your full retirement benefit amount. To be eligible, your child must meet certain qualifications, as we typically do in anything. And some of those are they're unmarried still, they're under the age of 18, or they're between 18 and 19, and they're in school, or 18 and older, and they're disabled up to a certain age. Right there. However, there is a limit to the amount of Social Security can pay for your family members, and that's why there's caps on there. The total depends on your benefit amount and the number of family members who also qualify. The total varies, but generally the total amount your family can receive is about 150% to 180% of your full retirement benefit. That's the bottom line.
That's the collective family?
Collective.
Okay.
For the children. It's the children's benefits.
Because then that would say, when I suggested you could only go up to 1/2 of what the adult would get, that would only be 50% of the adult, right? I'm a little confused on this one.
Well, let me reread the slide.
Okay.
Okay, so each qualified child may receive a monthly payment up to 1/2 of your full retirement.
Okay.
All right, so again, the total, so let's go back to that statement that I said at the end of it. All right, there is a limit to what Social Security will pay your family members.
Family members,
Okay, your children and others.
Okay.
All right, so the total depends on your benefit amount and the number of family members that qualify. All right, and the range is between 150% to 180% of what your retirement benefit would be.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that's interesting. I find that slide to be interesting. I didn't realize that people could actually collect, your family members could collect, because I don't have children. So, but that's nice to have, actually, if you need it, you know? So, okay. All right, so now let's talk about spousal benefits, okay? Breaking it down. So if you are currently married and you are eligible for Social Security retirement benefits, your spouse is eligible for benefits based on your work record, even if he or she never worked a job in their life, where they were paid through the system at least. Let's say it that way. A spouse can generally receive up to 50% of the partner's full retirement benefit. Collecting a spousal benefit will not cause the primary earner's benefit to be reduced. So that's pretty good, all right, considering. You only can file for spousal benefit once your spouse has filed for his or her own benefit. And if your spouse claims early, your benefit as a spouse will still be a portion of his or her full benefit, all right? So it is important to note this, though. That spouse benefits are intended for couples in which one spouse made significantly more than the other. If both you and your spouse are eligible for Social Security benefits, Social Security will pay you whichever amount is higher, either your own benefit or your spouse's benefit, okay? But not both of you, but not both. So if you made the same as your spouse throughout the career, you'll likely get to claim your own benefit, okay? But pretty cool if you didn't work. All right, next slide. Again, now this is about ex-spouses. I chuckle. I have an ex, so and I made significantly more than him, so it's going to be interesting. Okay, so and no disrespect to exes, you know. So ex-spouses can receive benefits on their former spouse's record, provided the marriage lasted at least 10 years. So there's the caveat. Right? You're eligible for a benefit as an ex-spouse if your ex-spouse receives his or own Social Security benefits or is at least 62 and you have been divorced at least 2 years. You are at least 62. You are not remarried, and your own retirement benefits are lower than your spousal's benefits. Okay? So, yep. So not bad. Either, I guess. All right, survivor benefits. You know, I like this because, you know, in the event of your spouse's death, the survivor can collect up to 100%. And, you know, that's pretty nice. You know, unfortunately, if things happen and people, you know, haven't planned or anything of that nature. So, you know, I'm glad that that's part of it. So, again, the survivor can collect up to 100% of the benefit that deceased was receiving or would have received in the future. This will include any delayed retirement credits the deceased earned. However, it also will include a reduction if they actually chose early retirement. So there is an impact either way. Survivor benefits can be claimed as early as age 60, age 50 if disabled, but they will be reduced. They can also be claimed at any age if the survivor is caring for an untitled child. Survivor benefits are only reduced based on when the survivor benefit itself is a claimed. Did that sound right? Let's repeat that. Survivor benefits are only reduced based on when the survivor benefit itself is claimed. Okay, in many situations, a surviving spouse can continue collecting on this or on his own record to allow the survivor benefit to grow and grow until he or she reaches full retirement age. Wow, that's nice. The survivor is still subject to the earnings limit to his or her. She hasn't yet reached full retirement age and continues to work. So that's a nice way to make it grow. That is nice. Okay, the next slide. See how messy it can be? All right, there's a lot to know. All right, survivor benefits and remarriage. All right, so let's spend a few minutes talking about this and how remarrying impacts your survivor benefits. If you remarry before the age of 60, 50 if you're disabled, then you can't receive survivor benefits while you're married. If you remarry after the age of 60, and again, we talk about 50 at that disabled age, then you can continue to qualify for benefits on your deceased spouse's record. However, if your new spouse is a Social Security beneficiary, you may want to apply for spouse's benefits on his or her record if that amount is more than your widow or widower's benefit, right? You will receive a combination of benefits that equals the higher amount. Okay? All right, so let's do another little quiz. All right, here's a quiz. Can you guess how many Social Security beneficiaries are age 100 or older? What do you think? 10,000, 35,000, or 60,000?
I'll take a stab and say 35,000.
35.
I'm going to say 35.
35. Nope, it's 10,000. Oh, wait a minute. Raise your hand if you think the number, It is 60,000.
Oh, God, that makes
Yep.
wow.
Yep, and 51 of them are women. 51,000 of them are women,
That doesn't surprise me.
right?
Given
Okay.
life expectancy, right?
And again, those stats came out of Social Security, .gov policies, state supplements, et cetera. Now think about this though. Think about when Social Security was established. We talked about that back in the early 1900s, right? And it was based upon the Great Depression and all of that, right? People weren't living as long then, right? That has definitely impacted the Social Security program because we're living longer, right? And also, if we're living longer, maybe we're withdrawing, so we're taking more money out. Hopefully we're contributing as much, but there's some great impacts that weren't thought about at that time. So that's why we have to have other supplemental material. All right, next slide. So future of Social Security, and I think we're all sitting here Jones and waiting to see what's going to happen, right? So let's spend a few minutes talking about that. Social Security faces challenges. Among them is the longer life expectancy, which we just talked about, right? So in 1940, a 65-year-old expected to live was 12 to 13 more years. Today, it's 20 years, at least as of 2017. I'm going to say it's even longer than that now, all right? Because again, and most women are living longer than the men. Statistically, we're a good distance apart for some reason. I don't know why. But also, there are fewer workers per beneficiary. The number of workers per beneficiary will decline from 2.8 today to 2.8 in 2036. All right, so again, a lot of factors is what we're talking about that's impacting it. So finally, we're experiencing a lower birth rate than what we were before. We see that. We're not having those 10 family, my grandparents had 10, but then my grandmother only had 1. So what a big difference, right? So yeah, finally, the birth rates are lower. So, birth rates fell from 25 per 1,000 capita per people at the height of the baby boom to less than 14 births per 1,000 today. So bottom line is Social Security faces some great challenges, but it's not bankrupt yet. Yep, well, I threw in yet. It's not bankrupt. We just got to be conscious of that, and we got to, go ahead. We just got to be thoughtful, I think. So if nothing is done to address the future solvency of Social Security, we'll be able to pay full benefits until 2034. And after that, it'll be able to pay about 75% of the benefit. So again, as we just mentioned, it's the yet, right? If we don't do something about it, it is going to eventually deplete. At a 25% benefit, a 25 benefit cut would have a big impact on people's lives. If that size of a Social Security cut happened today, it would put 2.6 million more people in the poverty. So again, looking at those statistics, right? So 75% after 2034, they're saying taking that 25% of money away is going to put 2.6 million people in the poverty, in the homeless poverty sections of the world. I don't know if we can survive that, to be honest with you. I mean, I look at the towns today, Boston, the big cities, California, you see it on the news. I don't know. That's my opinion, not Aarp, unless we don't do something about it. So, it would mean people having to cut back on life's necessities, including food, utilities, health care. We need leadership from the President and Congress to ignite the conversation so we can arrive at solutions to keep Social Security whole for our current and future beneficiaries. I'm not going to get into a political stance. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just telling you that, as we all know, we need to do something. And what we can do is know what we can do about ourselves, right? And know what our beneficiary amount's going to be, know and plan when we can retire, when it's going to help us. Do it for the best of you, not for the government, is my advice. So here again, applying for your benefits, you want to go online, you want to call, or you want to go in person to find that out. The sooner you do that, the better, for anybody that's looking to do it. Does anyone have any questions about Social Security that I can answer as we have time here?
I would say the one question that I have, I'm just getting into this.
Yep. I will.
Communication with Social Security.
The communications with the Social Security office is tough.
Yeah, so what I find is when they give me printed material, I find it cryptic.
The
So
material is convoluted, cryptic, it's hard to read.
Yeah, it's the flow isn't very thorough. Do you have any comments on that?
Well, I do agree with you about the material. It needs to be smoother, it needs to be more to the point, and it feels like you're going down a rabbit hole as you're reading everything. And it kind of points you into different directions. I'm going to tell you this, as I have just been elected to the Aarp Executive Council for Massachusetts, so now I'm going to be part of the advocacy and doing state house stuff and things like that. So it is part of our mission. It's kind of weird that you kind of brought this up. I was just there yesterday, and we are talking about forms and things like that and how they need to be clearer for the end user, and that communication is not there, right? So all I can say is I agree with you, and we're going to be trying to take some steps to influence and change that. But all I can say is ask questions. If you're not clear, you got to ask the questions over and over. So get a person on the line if you don't understand what you're reading, whether it's online, if it's on the phone, or if you have to go in person, because you don't want to make any decisions that you're not clear on.
Would you have any recommendation on what pathway is better? And what I mean by this is, I've called, and sometimes you have to wait a really long time to get through to somebody. And sometimes they're working, they have the same information that was mailed to me, and they're struggling sometimes with, with what they have there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not stating it very well, but
You are.
it's cryptic too.
So the question that you're asking me is, do I have a recommendation on which pathway to choose, whether it be in person, on the phone, on the website? Because your experience is that when you've spoken to them, they seem to be following the same material and script that you or the end user has, and so you're not getting your questions answered because they're just following what they're reading. Right? They may not know themselves. They may not have been trained properly. So this is what I say. We got to get in front of and again, I don't want to go off on a political stance, right? But we got to get in front of our congressmen and our state people and our representatives, and we need to let them know that we have confusion in the Social Security office. We got to let them know that so that they can take a stance to try and clear that up. For you personally, I would say you need to go in there then. If the person on the phone is confused, don't go on the website, right? Because you're just going to be talking to somebody that's coming over a computer. I'd say go in.
Okay.
I'd say make an appointment and go in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Those are mine.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that every time I do this presentation, I do pick up more and more information about it that I think is very interesting. So for me, one of the highlights was about some of the ex-spouses and the death benefits that people get. I'm going to ask, was there anything that stood out to you guys that was interesting, something that you didn't know when you came in here?
No, because as I'm just into it, I'm digging in, so I've hit some of the spots that you
Okay.
hit. One, there's a couple of comments, some of the information may need to be updated slightly.
Yes.
And that's because there were changes put through in 2015 that became effective, well, let me put it this way. I'm born in 53, and somebody born in 54 can't do a couple of the things that I can do.
That's
And
correct.
that's because of the change they put through in 2015.
That's correct, right. And again, these stats were drawn on 2017 and things like that. So I agree with you. I would say it does need to be updated well, so I will let the office know. So point well taken. So, okay, great. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. So that's it. Social Security, ARP presentation. Thank you very much for everybody attending.